college or kind of a smaller college setting, there'll be a professor and residential life person from Columbia College in the media center. If you're interested in the zoo or a larger college setting, they will be here in the PAC. So you need to choose between one of those two. I'm going to pass a piece of paper out with that information for you to keep. On Friday, there's 4 options. There is Mitzi Clayton. She's an associate athletic director from the zoo. And if you were wanting to be an athlete in college, no matter what level, Division 3, 2, 1, NAI, you need to see her. She'll be here in the PAC. There will be Miss Williams talking about black fraternities and Greek life, and she'll be in J219. We'll have 2 Mizzou students talking about academic societies in J207. And then we had a good question yesterday about different supports that colleges can offer you when you're struggling in a class. We'll have someone from the Student Success Center at Mizzou in J208. So Thursday and Friday, you need to be at one of these places. You can pick where to go. Any questions about that? We will pass this out on your way out today. I'm going to pass the mic over to our guests today. Please represent Battle well. They came here to spend some time with you, answer your questions, and go over some stuff from Moberly Community College and A+.
Good morning. I'm Michelle McCall. I'm the Dean of Off-Campus Programs and Instructional Technology at MACC, and I have with me Shannon Chris. She's the coordinator of Off-Campus Programs, and she oversees our dual credit program and also special projects at the college and works with instructor resources. A lot of what we do every day is advise students about college. At MACC, we are a transfer institution on one side, and we're a career technical institution on another. 80% of what we do at MACC is about transfer. And I know you all have a lot of questions about transfer, but we also do career technical programs. And let me give you a few examples of those. Like nursing. Anybody want to do nursing? Okay, we have wonderful allied health programs. We have nursing, occupational therapy, medical lab technician. We have computer programs that are 2-year career tech degrees that will get you out in the field with high-paying jobs. A career tech field is meant to get you through college in 2 years with still ability to go on to a 4-year school, but that you could get out and get a very high-paying job with 2 years of higher education. And then the transfer degree is meant to take you through the basic gen ed courses that you take as a freshman, sophomore at any college at a better rate with smaller class sizes, with professors that their mission in life is to teach. And then you transfer on to a 4-year school in any degree program that you want to talk about. So we want to talk to you about all of those things today and answer your questions. First thing we want to do is talk about the little booklet that you were handed when you came in and talk about some of the stories in there. Shannon's going to share one of the stories about one of the people in the book, and then we'll kind of go from there. Okay.
The first gal, who is a nurse, she started as a CNA, went to our nursing program, and then is now at Boone Hospital as a nurse, and is, I think at this point, going through Mizzou to get her bachelor's of nursing, and Mizzou is paying for it. So at the end of the day, she hasn't paid for much of her schooling at all. She used her A+, and then got a job, and now Mizzou's paying for it. So, and she's making really, really good money. So that's just something to think about for all of those hands that did go up that want to be nurses. Nursing is not going to go anywhere. We always are going to need nurses. And she started as a CNA. So if you are truly interested in it, start. Get out there. Get the experience that you need. Volunteer. I know that word is sometimes hard when you have a very busy schedule, but get out there as much as you can.
Another little tidbit. Does anybody know Queena? She is one of Columbia Public Schools students. She went through the CNA program actually while she was still in high school and finished up and then came onto our program. The next student in the book is, he's a ranger, a park ranger, and he came to MACC in Moberly and then went on and went to college at another 4-year school and then works for the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, and he's at Mark Twain Lake. Has anybody ever been to Mark Twain Lake? Yeah, maybe? Do a little fishing?
All 7th graders, you guys all went there on a camp.
Did you all go there? Yeah? So he took you there, Mark Twain Lake. What did you do Mark Twain Lake when I was growing up. I would go skiing there every night. It's the best skiing lake in the country. Okay. On page 10 of your book, we have a doctor, and he is from Hannibal, Missouri, and he still practices in Hannibal, and he went to MACC. We do have a site in Hannibal, Missouri. If you're familiar with Mark Twain and have gone to the cave, you know about Hannibal a little bit. He came to our Moberly campus and then went on to become a doctor and was able to stay in his hometown of Hannibal and practice medicine. One of our more recent graduates, we have a student in here that is actually doing cancer research now at Iowa State University, and they're on the verge of finding some breakthroughs to a cure of a certain type of cancer. And he started out at MACC, and he talks about, we have videos on all of these people. It's a really cool picture of him in his lab at Iowa State. But he went to MACC and worked in our labs, and he talks about how those labs prepared him to do really well at Mizzou, and then go on to Iowa State and do this cancer research. And again, all these videos are on our website, and we're going to talk to your counselors about how to find those so that you can watch them and learn a little bit more about those programs. No matter where you go, it's really good to have a plan. And so you had some really great questions about what's it like in college, what do I need to do? And I know you had a student panel yesterday, might have sparked some more. But one of the questions was about what are some of the unique difficulties of college? And I think Shannon and I both, we shared this story on our drive down here today, is that students don't realize how hard you have to study. You can't do what you did in high school. You have to really apply yourself. In high school, they give you a lot of time to work on your homework. How many of you go home without any homework? Any of you? If you're one of those people, high school's probably really easy for you, and you go home without homework. But when you go to college, it's going to be a different story. And I remember picking out my classes for college the first semester, and I'm like, I only have to go Monday, Wednesday, Friday to these classes for an hour. I can take like 15 classes. They all sounded really exciting, and I wanted to sign up for everything. What I didn't realize is that I needed to spend 2 hours a week studying and working on my class for every hour I was in school. Well, when you do that and you plan out a schedule on a piece of paper, pretty quickly your day fills up, your week fills up, and even your weekend. And you still want to have time to have fun at college. It is a good time. You need to have fun there. But you have to really plan time to study. And a lot of students are working. How many of you all have jobs now? A lot of you. So you know what it's like to work and go to school, right? Well, just add more hours to your week. We're going to have to cut out of somewhere. We're going to cut it out of our fun time probably, right? And that doesn't sound like much fun, but it can be. It can be fun. You can form some study groups and get to know your other college friends. That's the most important thing, is to form some study groups, make friends, and make time to study when you're in college. What other unique difficulties, Shannon?
Just the freedom that you're going to have. Again, you come here, you go to class all afternoon till 4:30. The freedom, like Michelle and I talked about. So when I was in college on a Tuesday, I had an 8 o'clock class. I was back in my dorm room by 9:30. What do I do all day? I could study, I could sleep, I could watch TV, I could go hang out, I could go to Kansas City and go shopping. I had the whole day to myself. So just that freedom that you get, you've got to figure out the whole time management. I swear this is my one dorky little piece of advice. Get a planner, use your planner, make it count, make it work for you. I know that's really dorky, even if it's on your phone, on your, use your iCal on your iPhones. But be able to plan your day out so you don't just go, oh, I'm back from class, what should I do? Have those days ready to go and plan. So you're studying. So you're taking advantage of free tutoring if you go to MACC. Just the different things that you can do. That's the hardest part, is that open freedom.
Okay, some tips. So Shannon gave you some really great advice, and that's probably, if I think about some of the best advice I had in college, was get a planner. And now you have phones that can beep at you and tell you what to do when you need to do it, and follow the plan. It's so easy to get off track and, well, let's just run to the mall, and pretty soon, oh, let's go to the park, and you've cut out all your study time, and then you're in trouble. Wait till the last minute. So one thing I wanted to talk about today were probably two of the things that if I could do college over again, what would I do? That's the thing that I talk to students about a lot. And one of those things would be to travel abroad. There are so many opportunities to travel abroad, or just travel. You might have a roommate that lives in another state and they invite you home for the weekend. Say yes. Any opportunity you have to go somewhere, say yes to that opportunity and take it. And if you can do a semester abroad, plan on that. You might be thinking, well, I heard it's really expensive. And it can be expensive, but there are ways to pay for those things. And we'll talk about finances here in a little bit and give you some tips and tricks on how to pay for things. The other thing that Shannon and I are really, we also teach in addition to advising and working at all these off-campus sites and building programs, we teach. And one of the things that we want our students to know most of all is to communicate. Communicate with your teachers. It's probably really easy for you to do here at Battle High School. Your classes aren't huge. You know your teacher, they know you by name. But when you get to college, even if you go to MACC, you're not going to know those people as well as you know your teachers today. And you need to get to know them. Everywhere you go, teachers are required to have office hours. But students do not go to faculty office hours. It's really important to go get to know your faculty. If they think you're just sitting in class and you're trying really hard, but you never tell them how hard you're trying, or if you have questions, they're really not going to know that you care. So they're not going to help reach out to you as much as you might need them to. You need to go communicate with them. Talk to them about what's going on with the class or what's going on in your life. Let them know that you're a real person. Our faculty love when students come, but even at our small school, students are afraid to go. And so if I could give you just one piece of advice, go talk to your teachers. If you're not doing it in high school now, do it now. That's really important. They're there to help you. At any college, we have success centers, we have tutoring, we have so many things to help you succeed, and we want to see you succeed. Retention and getting you to graduation is one of the most important things. It's what it's all about. We want to see you succeed. They're not against you, they're for you. Take advantage of it. If you get into trouble, tell them and ask for help. I have a policy about late work in my class, and I think Shannon follows the same policy. The policy is talk to us. A lot of people say the policy is you can't turn in late work, but the policy is talk to us. And that's a great rule in life. You need to communicate with your boss about deadlines. If you're going to make the deadline, if you're going to be early on a deadline and need a new project, whatever that is, communication is the key. So learn that skill, practice it while you're in high school, and use it in college. Major differences between high school and college. We talked about time and time management. Shannon talked a little bit about freedom. And I think that's probably the most overwhelming part to students is the freedom that you get when you go to college, especially if you move out of the house. You have a lot of freedom, and nobody's there watching over you to make sure you do things. And I'm sure your parents have given you a nice foundation, and you'll hear their voice in the back of your head, but sometimes it's really easy to veer off track. Keep checking in with your parents. They're great people. Check in with grandparents, aunts and uncles, whoever you have in the support system, check in with them. But enjoy your freedom too. Learn your boundaries, learn what you can do, what you can't do. It's a good time to have fun and to explore. So along with exploring, there was a question about majors, and is it really important to know what you're going to major in now, or can you change your major later? That was a question. Shannon, how many times did you change your major?
I changed your major 3 different times.
3 times. I changed my major at least twice, and I have 2 different degrees that, seem really far apart on the spectrum, but they're not. You can change your major, and you can always change your mind and change direction. People change careers sometimes 5 to 7 times in their lifetime, and that's okay, but you want to be smart about your money. and you want to take courses that will transfer into what you think you want to do. Now, you might get into that and take a course in what you think you want to do and realize it's not what you want to do at all. We have that, it's quite common. We have an education program, and what's really great about having an education program at the community college is that people will get into field experience in the schools right off the bat, and they realize, you know what? I don't think I want to be a teacher. This isn't so much fun. Or they really love it, and they definitely know that's what they want to be. The same with our nursing program. Those of you that want to be nurses, if you go to the community college for your nursing program, you're going to get out there and do clinicals really early on, and you're going to know whether that's the field for you or not. You know, can you stand the blood? Can you stand, doling out medicine or cleaning up spills? All of those things. You're going to know early on whether that's something that is for you. So explore. You can take a lot of classes. A lot of things will transfer depending, into numerous majors. But talk to your counselors, talk to your advisors about that. All of our advisors are really well-versed in transfer. As I said earlier, 80% of our students go on to a transfer institution. So it's really important that we don't have people out there saying, community college credit doesn't transfer. It definitely does. We definitely want to look at each major and make sure for you that it's going to work. And so what we try to do early on is connect you with a college transfer advisor at the college you think you want to go to. We'll look at their degree plans. We'll look at all that information. What other transfer tips do you have, Shannon?
Using your A+. Right now, you think, oh, that's only a couple $1,000s. In that book, it shows one of the schools is like $30,000 a year, or $4,000. That's a big difference. And down the road, when you're starting a family, when you're wanting to buy that first house, when you're wanting to have that cool car, and you still have your student loans that you're paying off. So think about that. Think about the big picture and how you want to live your life down the road. So that's the big thing, is using A+. I didn't want to go to a community college when I was young, because I'm like, I want to live, I want to get out of my parents' house, I want to go. But financially, it's a much, much smarter choice. So.
How many of you are signed up for the A+ program? A lot of you. Okay. For those of you that are not, I would encourage you to go talk to your counselor today and get signed up. They told me a while ago, it's not too late. You need to sign up for that program because you may want to use that. Who would turn down free college? I don't know. My kids are definitely not going to turn down free college. And they can go to school at my school because I work there for free. But I'm making them do the A+ program because they might decide to major in something that we don't offer at MACC. And maybe they'll need to go to another part of the state of Missouri. There are 12 community colleges in the state of Missouri, lots of different programs that you could go to for free and then transfer on. We have engineering programs, we have pre-engineering, those transfer in. So you might think, I'm doing something specialized like chemical engineering. You can still use your A+, go to MACC or one of the other community colleges that have that engineering program, and transfer to Rolla, transfer to Mizzou, go into one of Truman's STEM programs. You get 2 years for free. You're still going to get your MU degree, but you're going to have 2 years of that out of the way for free. All you're going to have to pay for are your books and any supplies that you need, and that's a really great deal. Who thinks that's not a good deal? It's a good deal. I would definitely do it. Encourage your friends to do it if they're not signed up to do that. College is expensive, and as Shannon said, you need to think about that. Who wants to drive a nice car? Anybody here want to drive a nice car? Live in a nice house? When you're paying a student loan of $30,000 to $70,000 or more back, do you know what those payments are going to be per month? Anywhere from $300 to $1,000 a month in payments. That's a car payment, right? And so you're probably going to be driving a clunker unless you can get an amazing job. And you need to start looking. Start looking at the one ads. Start looking at what things pay and start adding that stuff up. And be smart about your borrowing. Student loans that you borrow, money that you borrow in student loans, that's going to stick with you forever. You know, we have all of us in education, we promote education, and we talk about get as much education as you possibly can. That's something they can never take away from you, right? They can repossess your house, your car. You're always going to have the education right up there in your brain, right? But a student loan is also going to follow you. You can default on your car, you can default on your house, but you can't default on your student loan. I mean, you can, but then it's going to haunt you, and they're going to come after you for the money. So don't borrow more money than you can handle. Some people are like, I've heard the quote, live like a millionaire while you're in college. And don't take that in the way that you should borrow a ton of money to live like a millionaire. What they're saying is take advantage of what your student ID can get you. It can get you into a lot of free college plays and shows and games at many of our colleges across the state. But don't borrow a lot of money to go to school. Okay? Save that money, use your A+, and then, you know, if you do have to take out loans for your second 2 years, you can do that without being in great debt. Okay. What questions do you have about A+ or loans or college at this point? I can keep going down your questions on the list, but what do you have? Questions? Anybody? Okay, we'll keep going down your list here. Okay, go ahead. Can you transfer to another community college from MACC? Yes, you can. So if you wanted to take a year with us and then transfer into another program, you can. One of our programs that we have, and this is not a perfect example, but an example, we have an occupational therapy assistant program that we do with Mizzou. So the students take their first year with us or any community college and do general education courses, and then they go into the full OTA courses. And students from this area go to the Mizzou campus and take their OTA. Now soon that program will be actually on our Columbia campus and students will be going there, but it's kind of an example of how you might do a second year elsewhere.
If I have A+ credits and dual credit with those and then your
Yes. So she asked about if she had dual credit and A+ and AP. All of that does transfer to our college, and then that would transfer on with you. So not a problem. How many of you are doing some dual credit? Doing a little dual credit or AP? Okay, if you're doing AP classes, take the AP test. Do it. It's worth a chance on trying to pass that test. If you have an opportunity to do dual credit, I would take every advantage for dual credit. We talked about majors and people changing their mind. That, at $75 a credit hour, is what our dual credit cost. You cannot beat that. Find the money, borrow the money, do it. Do everything you can dual credit-wise and get it out of the way. You're already studying through the classes, you should do it. What other questions?
Talk about maybe some struggles students have when they start out at a community college and they work to transfer. Are there any hardships or struggles there?
Okay, he asked about hardships or struggles when you started a community college and then you transfer on. I think there's some transfer shock. That's probably the biggest struggle that students have. We're very hands-on at the community college. You can go in and see an advisor anytime you want. You can ask questions. Like I talked about earlier, our faculty doors are open. They're small classes. So if you transfer, just like it would be here, you don't have huge classes of 500 students, right? You have small classes. So when you transfer to a large university that has big classes, it's just a little bit tough to you sit in a big room like this and you start looking around and you're like, who am I? And does this professor know me? And are they going to care if I don't show up today? Maybe not. I might sneak out the back. Being driven and responsible to stay in the big lecture halls, that's probably the toughest part. As far as credits transferring, things transfer very well. We're Mizzou's #1 transfer institution. We're Columbia College's #1 transfer institution. That's what we're about. Where things don't transfer is when you change your major. And the same thing would happen if you were at the four-year school and changed majors. Certain things, It's not that they don't transfer, but you might have to take additional courses to get requirements out of the way to take upper level courses. Can you think of?
Oh, and if anybody in here is thinking about going to Washington University in St. Louis, they take absolutely no transfer credit at all. So you can do a year at Mizzou and then decide you want to go to St. Louis. They're not going to take that year at Mizzou. They're not going to take a year at MACC. They want all of their schooling at their institution. So if there's anybody thinking of WashU.
There's some schools like that want you to take certain things. Another example, we have the engineering program. All engineering universities want you to take your calculus sequence at the same school, so it follows. We match up our calculus classes with their calculus classes, but they still really like you to take the sequence all at one school. So there are little tips and tricks like that, but our advisors know that. The advisors at all the colleges know those things. So as long as you communicate with your advisors, then you won't fall into that problem. The biggest problem we see today are students that swirl or pick and choose classes based on what's interesting today. They just are kind of like, you've seen that commercial where somebody's talking along and they're like, oh, swirl, right? It's like that. We have students that just jump around and take classes and they don't know what direction they're going. And hopefully, if they come to us, our advisors are sitting down with them and saying, hey, wait a minute. Let's get you a college degree first, because it's going to be really valuable for you. All these credits that you're picking up everywhere might not fit together perfectly. The other thing I would talk to you about is getting a degree, an associate's degree is really important. Something, we're talking finance here, that people don't realize is that if you have an associate's degree versus just taking maybe 40 credit hours and then transferring to Mizzou or Columbia College, if you get that degree, there are tons of transfer scholarships that could make it so that your credit hours at the university, at the four-year school, are discounted at 50%, some up to 75%. Some have huge scholarships. So think about that too. Think about getting the full AA degree with your A+, then transferring. It shows that you're able to accomplish a goal and complete.
Let's say that maybe I wasn't as academically focused as I should have been in high school, so I can't go to my dream school, which is Mizzou. So maybe I start at MACC and then I transfer to Mizzou. Is Mizzou going to care about what I did in high school then?
They're not going to care as much. If you can show that you get the degree from us, they're going to be really proud of you, and they're going to accept you with open arms. They're going to look at you and be like, hey, you really did something here. This is impressive. We have that. We see a lot of that. We see all kinds of things. We see students that go to Mizzou, and then they come back to us because they were overwhelmed. The classes were too big. They weren't ready to study. They didn't make that good plan in their planner. And we see them back, and they take credits with us and then transfer back to Mizzou all the time. And it's okay. You're going to have some failures, and it's okay. Pick yourself back up and get out there and do it again. Question?
Okay, so like if you're trying to go to kind of a higher education college, higher up schools, are they going to look down on you for going to a community college and doing your general education? Or like, are they going to be less likely to accept you?
Okay, she asked if you were planning on going to a high level for your college, would they look down on you if you go to a community college? We have not had that experience, and Shannon and I, we work with 41 high schools in dual credit. Dual credit, if you're aware of how that all works, you have to have a higher GPA to take dual credit. So we're working with students that are going to go to Yale, Harvard, Stanford, Mizzou, many of the big schools, and we call them and talk to them about transfer. We haven't had any tell us that there's going to be a problem with transfer, and we check that out for students. So if that's something you are interested in, talk to us. We'll talk to that college and we'll find out, and we will tell you. There's been one case where they took 1,000 new fresh students and only 100 transfer students. So we would tell you, hey, it'll transfer, it'll be fine, but your chances of getting in might be slimmer. That only happened one phone call, and that was like 10 years ago. We haven't had any questions like that recently.
All right, guys, thank you for your questions. Can we give our guests a round of applause? Remember for tomorrow, you're going to be in the media center or the PAC, depending which one you want to go into. Your English teachers are at the doors with little slips of paper telling you what room numbers for Thursday and Friday. You guys are free to head out. We kept you a little long yesterday, so I'll let you go today.